Folks, welcome to an all new So Bad It's Good. This is your pal Ryan, and this is your Friday episode. You did it. You made it the entire week. I'm so thrilled for all of us. How are you guys doing today? I hope you are good. This is a Real Housewives of Orange County episode 4 recap, but we've had great shows all week, so if you haven't checked those out, check them out. We had a very long Valley reunion recap. We had two of the directors of Netflix's Trainwreck docu-series. Plus, we broke down the Janae and Kenny Love Island USA debacle or breakup or whatever we're calling it. We also had Sophie Ross. We also did Bravo predictions and another pop culture roundup. And we did a live Patreon last night, which was a blast. Shout out to the baddies. If you want to join, patreon.com/, so bad it's good. So just a full week of shows as always, but I hope you're doing good out there. Now, I'm going to try to be, I'm not loving this season of Real Housewives of Orange County. I don't want to be negative, but I am not loving it. It's not feeling staged, but it's just feeling like we've been there, done that, very Groundhog's Day. And so when you see the same thing over and over and over and over again, there's a level of frustration you feel as a viewer. Now, we're not casual viewers, you and I. We watch these things like a hawk, so it can sometimes wear on us. You're just like, wow, we're just still early in the season. And who knows, maybe this thing just explodes and gets so wild. But I think at the end of the day, what it is and what this is like, this show is sometimes like Groundhog's Day because I say the same things, but it still is relevant in the fact that if I don't believe that these people actually like each other or there's a chance of them liking each other, I don't know what we're doing here. Is this pro wrestling or is this Housewives? And they shouldn't be interchangeable. This should be, at its best, a core group of friends. Friends that have disagreements, but friends. You shouldn't be watching a show where you're springing people into the cast because you know that that person hates that person and that person hates that person. And that's what we're doing. We're doing like cameos just to upset people. I mean, we've got Joe De La Rosa back this episode very briefly. And obviously, she had a relationship with Slade, which we saw very documented on Bravo on the first season of OC. And they even had a spinoff for the love of God. And I do love Joe. Joe's been on the show a couple of times. I like her a lot. But obviously, the whole point is to get a reaction out of Slade. And that's okay, but if you're just doing it as like a surprise pop-in, you want to make it more natural and not Tamra. It looks like Tamra plotted something because she was scared of going to this because Ryan threatened her with his lawyer. Like, how deep into the legal system do Bravo viewers have to be to appreciate a show? I mean, it just seems ridiculous. And then how are we to take Tamra's fear about being sued seriously if she still shows up to an event and then also tries to poke some sort of bear while she's there? It just then rings so false to me and so staged in a sense. And I always wonder in those cases, was that Tamra's idea to bring Joe? Was it production's idea to bring Joe? And I will say, even though I disagree with Gretchen in real life, I do enjoy, I guess, the minimal behavior she's bringing to this season. Was very excited to hear about how she broke Slade's dick last episode. That was enlightening information, and I wish some of the men on the Valley would have their dicks broken as well. I think dicks broken on Bravo with the men, I think, should be some sort of trend we start, hoping that dicks are broken all over the Bravo sphere and the Bravo universe. It would be great if BravoCon, if there was just a panel of Bravo men that had their dicks broken in the last year. One can wish, one can hope, right? So that is where I start. But there's a lot of good things about this always. It's not that I dislike any of these women. It's sometimes the women together that makes no sense. And now also, obviously, Shannon had an explosion at Katie. And it's interesting reading some of the discourse online because I think, people are not necessarily understanding like what is the big deal about recording someone? And then, well, Shannon shouldn't be having these explosions. Shannon shouldn't be doing these things and huffing and puffing behind the scenes and all of this rigmarole. And I understand that. But I also want to put you guys in just this headspace or maybe just think a little bit about if you are on a show that has highlighted, obviously, some of your worst moments. And you are coming off of a season that not only you did something in the off season where you were driving drunk and ran your car into a house, but then you have to do a season with your ex and his new fiance where everybody is friendly with her. It's insane. You know, you do have to have a little empathy. So I was so impressed with Shannon, how she withstood last season. Most people can't withstand something like that without going completely batshit crazy. And yes, Shannon probably makes a lot of money off this show. It is like a golden cage. You know, it's like it's necessary, but man, you got to put up with a lot to get it. You got to put up with a lot to get that money into your account. So I would imagine when she goes into these things, having been a housewife for so long, there is an agitation level. I'm not a Shannon apologist, but I do want to say, like, then you're also dealing with new cast members that are recording you and sharing that information with your ex-boyfriend's new fiance. That's wild. That is very upsetting. You've agreed to be filmed with cameras for this show, but you have not agreed to be secretly recorded. But do I also think that everybody else is secretly recorded everybody else? Yeah, but you don't usually find out about them. And to my point about this is not a real friend group, Tamra had this information for a long time. And then you choose to bring it up when filming starts. Once again, that is not an example of real friendship. The moment Tamra knew about that, if there was any sort of real friendship or real empathy for Shannon, she would have let Shannon know off camera before filming started. Because this happened before filming started. Tamra knew before filming started. And that's why this is all ridiculous. The second part of wow, I'm just a real grumpy Gertie today. The second part of ridiculousness, and I scream about this so much lately, and I wish it would go away, is that I do not want these shows, and they seem to be more and more turning into conversations about me. Not me in particular, but people like me that are hosting podcasts and radio shows, and they have blogs and Instagram accounts and TikToks and stuff like that. We're not cast on this show. These women are. And you have to go outside for content. And if this turns out to be what you're fighting about most of the time is who talked to which blogger, who talked to which person outside in the Bravosphere, I watch these shows to forget about me. I watch these shows. I don't want to be a part of these shows. I want to talk about these shows. I do not want to become the topic of conversation. Do I always joke about I would love a podcast clip of mine to be played on one of these shows? Yes. But like most things I say on this show, there is a heavy level of sarcasm. But when we're fighting over, did Katie hang out with Kiki Monique? And then Tamra somehow has that information that Katie was asked, or Katie asked Kiki Monique to put out things, put out positive stories. First off, towards the end, like that storyline just got dropped. So I'm sure it's going to come back. So we find out what the actual deal was. But it's just wild. I don't want the actual Bravo sphere of all of us. I mean, it's like they've infiltrated us now. Like, just go about and live your lives. And if your lives have just become about dealing with all of us, then you got to recast. You've got to recast to people that, I mean, it's like, this is not like building the band. This is not like, I don't want to know about your rise in pop culture media stardom. I want to know about your life as a housewife, as your life about a strong, independent woman. And the sad thing is, Katie has all of those stories. You hear about like her ex relationship and her kids and you know, how she built her life up. That's a real fascinating story. And then we're now focusing on a story where Katie seems to be rallying social media troops. That's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. And Tamra, you know, for as much as she wants to play a victim all the time, she's one of the worst offenders. I mean, she legitimately does a very successful podcast talking about housewives. I said this on Jeff Lewis the other day. It's like taking performance-enhancing drugs. You shouldn't be able to do a show where you interact with all of the housewives from every different iteration and talk about what you like and what you don't like and then go on your own show. It's like cheating. It's like cheating on a test. No. And I'm so sorry. The therapy storyline is so been there, done that. You know, like any therapy, if it's real, keep it off camera. You know, that work we should be able to see or feel in your scenes. It shouldn't be like what we act, you know, what your storyline is. I think most therapists worth their salt would never allow a camera to be recording it, because most therapists would realize this is a very unhealthy environment to begin with. And if you were Tamra's therapist, I would imagine part of your therapy would eventually be like, Tamra, you know what the problem is. You shouldn't be on TV. It's not helping you. It's not helping any of your anger. It's not helping any of this to be on TV. The toxicity of the outside voices combined with your voice is not good. But we all know that would never happen. We all know. And Jeff tells me that like Tamra is so successful. She has the Vina CBD line or the Vina line, which is very successful. And then the podcast, which is very successful. Why do you need Housewives? Why do you need it? And I think that is the core of these ladies too, is there's such an ego involved and there is such a need to do this. And they never really think about if they should do it because that need overwhelms any other rational thought, or at least that's how it appears to me. So happy Friday, you guys. Real Housewives of Orange County. Listen, I got to get on the road in a couple hours because I'm going to my friend who passed away about a month ago. They have a celebration of life tomorrow. And so I'm going to drive down to Arizona. So this hopefully will be a quicker episode than most of the episodes I do. So most of you guys are probably going, thank God. Let's see if I can hold to that. But I do have to get on the road so I can make a 7-hour drive to Arizona. I would do normally other pop culture stories, but I do not have time for that today. But I will say I woke up to the story about 30 minutes ago that Justin Timberlake says he has Lyme's disease, which, that's very Yolanda Hadid. No, Lyme's disease is a very real thing. And maybe that's why I've seen so many clips lately of Justin Timberlake giving half-ass concert performances where he'll be like, I got this feeling. And then he'll hold the mic up for the audience to sing the rest of the song. And maybe the dude is just exhausted. Maybe that's it. I don't know. And listen, Justin Timberlake is such an interesting person because people, especially people that are plugged online, so online, they dislike Justin Timberlake for so many reasons, and some of them very well documented and well deserved, like the Janet Jackson Super Bowl debacle or the Britney Spears of it all. And obviously, people are upset at him that he still has not done an NSYNC reunion when he should. I'm one of those people that thinks he definitely should do that. But there seems to be a very online negative perception of Justin Timberlake that he just can't beat. But you then also have to realize this is a real person. It really sucks when you have to realize pop culture figures are still real people. It's just that they are making way more money from their jobs that we are. And in no way is this a defense of Justin Timberlake, but I just wanted to share the news because I've seen so many things just viciously berating him for his concert performances lately. If you've seen, I mainly get this on TikTok. Guys, listen, Trump, I'm pleading to you, man, shut TikTok down. Come on, man. You've not done a lot of great things. The two things we need, Epstein list and shut TikTok down. I just need those 3 hours of my life back every day. It's just so highly addictive. And I'm an old man. Imagine what young kids, their brains are going to be mush. You know what I was saying? I was like thinking about this on the toilet where I do most of my deep thinking today. And I was just, because I wake up and, they always say don't check your phone first thing, but I've never listened to that because I'm a survivor. And you're hit with so many negative things immediately. So many, I just like a billion negative things. And I will say, I felt this last year, it has really worn on me. And also, you've got to pay attention to what's going on in the world and what's going on in America. And this is not a political rant, but at the same time, things aren't good, man. And even if you take the politics out of it, what politics have done has turned us so against each other. I mean, just period, so against each other. That there is so much hate out there. We cannot get on the same page, it seems like, to save our life. Maybe even in this Orange County recap today, we're going to disagree because you're going to be like, I'm loving this new season. Give me more. We just can't even agree on the basics. And I was thinking like, man, I'm older, so maybe the negativity just gets to me and it just wears you down because you've had so many decades of it. But it's so in your face all of the time. And sometimes as an older person, not being raised on the internet, it's still very jarring. So imagine a child that is grown up, like that has been born into an internet age, that they are so almost in their DNA plugged in and so used to the negativity and so used to toxicity and do not have the tools, or it's just such a part of them that they don't even need the tools. Just, I mean, I don't know. Like, it's really interesting to think about. Like just the amount of discourse and the amount of negativity around the valley. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm screaming into the void as well. But at the end of the day, you're like, well, I've said what it's like Brittany, thank God she got away from Jax. Thank God. And she seems like she has people around her that are very encouraging to stay away from Jax. And then at a certain point, you give people tools and you hope that they learn from those tools and they are able to fix their life in a positive way. But at the end of the day, we all have our own lives to think about. And that's what I always think when I'm like thinking way too much about something, which I'll do with like The Valley or the OC or even Real Housewives of Miami this week, because I'm thinking about Gertie and Julia. And then you're like, when are you going to think about your own life, man? When are you got things going on? When are you going to stop and think about that? And I'm sitting here going, how does Brittany go on? And I'm like, how do you go on? How do we all go on, man? This is supposed to be my entertainment, and I have to worry about how you make money for the rest of your life? How do we make money for the rest of our lives, folks? And this is my Forrest Gump voice, and that's all I got to say about that. Oh, actually, one last pop culture story. I woke up to the news. I said this a couple months ago with Sophie, is they are making a sequel to The Social Network, which was the creation of Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg, right? Well, they're doing The Social Network 2. I swear to God, this is not a joke. Aaron Sorkin, the screenwriter of the first one, wrote the second one as well. And it is going to star, allegedly, Jeremy Strong, Jeremy Allen White, and Mikey Madison, who just won Best Actress Oscar for Anora. And I cannot wait. I mean, that's kind of what we were just speaking about in terms of social media. And it takes place, I believe, like 20 years after Facebook was created. So I'm really, really excited about that and to see Aaron Sorkin's take on what Facebook has done. Because Facebook, you can really, it's a linear line on, that's like not enemy number one, but just in terms of pitting us against each other, Facebook has gone a great way into helping that happen. I was just on Facebook looking at some AI rumor that Ariana Madix has done something so bad financially that Andy Cohen and Bravo had to step in and she's at risk of losing her job. First off, we have to be so discerning because on its face, that's even so fake. She's not employed by Bravo. She's employed by NBC Universal. And even then, she's employed by a production company that produces Love Island USA. It is such a false story that is being spread out there. If you've seen it on Facebook, that's where I saw it. It's just so ridiculous. And there are no guardrails in place. In fact, last year, Zuckerberg said he was even taking off more guardrails so people could even post more of the bullshit that they post. And these are like usually AI generated posts that somebody puts up there and it kind of spreads like wildfire. But it's really important to pay attention to. And, we're so apt and so used to believing in such negative stories because sometimes they turn out really to be true. But most of the time, they're just completely fake. And we just always buy it hook, line, and sinker. And I saw this one multiple places on Facebook. And it's just, there's just no truth to it at all. And that's like really flippin' scary. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry I don't look my usual beautiful self. My ring light broke. So this is me, you guys. This is me now, as Jennifer Lopez would say. I just ordered a new ring light, so that should be here by the time I get back from Arizona. So also, I have bedhead, and it reminds me that when I was a kid, I was made fun of for looking like Screech. And not even when I was a kid, when I was a teen as well, and not really even as a teen in my 20s as well. Yeah, I rest in peace, Dust and Diamond, but I do have a Screech-like appearance to myself. And I've just got to lean in and say, I'm Screech. I'm Screech 2.0, baby. That's me. So this is Real Housewives, episode 4. This is entitled Judge, Jury, and Jenn. Jenn Pedranti bringing the heat against Tamra in this final scene of this episode. And what I've said before is Jenn Pedranti, when she is pushed, when she gets into direct fights, she can clear. It's like she can clear. The thing I don't like about Jen is she seems to have like the memory of my dad or me at this point. My memory is shot. Is that she just doesn't seem to remember any conversation or where she's been or who she's hung out with. But when she gets into a direct confrontation, and remember last season with Tamra when they were in London and they were having Tamra was getting glam and she busted in like on her and Heather Dubrow and Jen just read her the riot act. I was like, holy shit. It was like, it was like, whoa, it was the Incredible Hulk, but the Incredible Jen. She can really clear when she wants to. So it's really interesting, the dichotomy of like soft Jen, like I'm soft and I'm just trying to get my life in order. And then fuck you, Tamra. I love it. I love it. Now, if she could just work on her memory, that would be excellent. But Jen's somebody interesting. She's a character that I truly do believe she wants to get along with everybody. I do believe she also has demons and skeletons in her closet, as we all do. And I do think the Ryan of it all is, there's some misdoing there. There's some misdeeds there. I just truly think that is very true. But I do believe she went onto this show thinking, I'm on this show with my friend Tamra. And when you get into this forum, when you get into this wrestler's ring, Tamra will always be the first to let you know, we ain't friends anymore, biatch, as Seth Marks would say. Proof, biatch. I'm fluid now. Whoa, biatch. But I love when Jen, because Jen usually brings a lot of solid points and she does it very sternly. And I love that Jen. I love that Jen. As always, they show us clips from previous episodes. One of those episodes, last episode, where they're bowling, you guys. I don't know why we had to be reminded that they were bowling, and their big clip was Emily eating chicken fingers while she is bowling. Emily's very much like me. The commitment to always be having some sort of food in your hand while you're doing menial activities is a true testament to I think any real person on this earth. We see that clip. We see Heather, a little clip of hers, like her storyline is selling her gigantic mansion that turned out to be shit, I guess. And so we bring in some $1 million listing people this episode. And then, of course, the big Heather's having a party a year after her birthday. And a big fancy party, and she wants Tamra to go. Jen's pissed that she invited Tamra. Ryan is, gone in the mix scaring Tamra about a potential lawsuit and blah, 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 blah. And then Katie, of course, recorded Shannon, and Shannon exploded on her at Heather's birthday party of like, you're dead to me. You're dead. Shannon, also the roster of Love Hotel men that she's bringing on this season is a true testament to cross-promoting shows on top of, and also I just keep thinking, has Shannon hooked up with any of these men? Because I don't think she would tell us. I mean, you want to talk about secret recordings. That's the one I want to see. Joking. Anyways, we're at Heather's birthday party, the secondary observance, it says, and we get a shot of all the fresh sushi. I think there's only like 50 guests here. They have like a weed bar, remember? They have two gentlemen writing haikus. Here's a haiku. This is boring. Try again. Next season on season 20. I don't know if that's a haiku. But anyways, we ended with Shannon exploding, Shannon walking off from Katie, and Katie's still seated, and Jen walks in, and Gretchen walks in, and Katie's like, I apologized. And she was like, you're evil. And then Shannon's with Emily and Gina, and Shannon's like, I'm trying to calm down. I don't like to get upset, but the show likes to see you get upset. And Emily says, why don't you say this is not great? And this is not black and white. And Shannon says, Katie Janella, you illegally recorded me when I didn't know it. Shannon's hand gestures, I just love them so much. Like in another life, she would be such a great air traffic controller. Just the movement on her hands. I want a Shannon Beador action figure where you can just extend the hands and wave them all about because she has some of the best hand gestures on Housewives. Shannon tells Jeana she is trying to justify herself. You betray me, bye-bye. Heather goes, you did what you had to do? And Gina's like, absolutely. I'm sorry. I'd be done just because she lied about something small last year. And Heather goes, me too. So they're all kind of bad-mouthing Katie together. We cut to Jen talking to Katie. And Jen's like, why did this information come into this group? And Gretchen goes, because I broke Slade's dick. And also because Tamra brought it into this group. So Jenn trying to like focus on, let's focus. Let's all hate Tamra, who brought it into this group. Katie says, I'm still to blame for everything from last year. I'm ready to leave. And Jenn says, are you really going? We have a shot of Matt just stuffing his face. Because that's what I would do. I would never plan on staying at these parties too long, so I would just carb load immediately. And Katie says, waste of a good dress. Matt, let's go. Let's go. Matt's like, are you all right? He's sitting with the dude from Love Hotel. We cut over to Shannon, who's, they're all eating pigs in a blanket over there. It's always good to carb load after an argument as well. And so Shannon cheers the corn dogs, little pigs in the blanket with everybody, like Emily and Gina, like, cheers. And Heather goes, I love a hot dog. I love a poor man's food. Ha 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 ha. Heather comes up to Katie like, what just happened? And Katie goes, I tried to apologize and she's not having it. And Heather goes, why don't we talk further about this another time? Yeah, we've got all season, I guess. Like, I hate that's the other thing, too. I hate people going up to other housewives and go, can we at another Dayton location with a film crew talk about the stuff we need to talk about now? And so Katie goes, I would love that. Gina in a talking head, she goes, I genuinely like Katie when I first met her. And it has been really difficult for me to be on the outs with her. Although I don't really believe everything Katie says. I feel bad. And I want to hear her out. I want to see if this is repairable. So Matt and Katie are walking out. Matt's like, are you good? She's like, no. What happened? Shannon said, you are more evil than Tamra, Judge, and Alexis combined, which sounds like an evil Dr. Frankenstein monster. I will create the most evil monster, a combination of Tamra and Alexis Bellino and Johnny J's dirty dick. Matt goes, well, that's just stupid and not true. So, don't let it affect you. Katie says, I wanted to talk to Shannon and really apologize because she's really been there for me. So it's literally killing me that I hurt her. I also love that they talked about this. Maybe this wasn't in the episode. No, it was in the episode last week, where the place that Heather is having this used to be a big, like one of those big Christian broadcasting networks, like their location to film. So that's why there's so many stairs and like ornate artwork on the walls and all these like really heavily draped. Like they're actually now renting out this Christian broadcasting network for parties. It's great. Anyways, Gretchen goes, is Tamara here? And Jen's like, she's not here. And then we get a shot of skyscrapers and I'm like, is Batman about to show up? Why do we have skyscrapers? And then we go to the freeway and there's a car driving. It's not the Batmobile, unfortunately. And Tamara goes, I just want to thank you so much for coming with me, but we don't know who it is. And it's Joe De La Rosa, you guys. It's Tamara's friend / Slade's ex. And Tamara says, I am super nervous. I don't want to be around Ryan. And it's just so stressful. And I'm so sorry because this is probably the first time you've seen Slade. And Joe's smiling like, I'm back on TV. And Joe says, it has been a minute. We flash back to 2006 with Slade and Joe in therapy, where Slade's going, something tells me I love her so much I have to let her go. And the therapist is like just watching intently. And Joe's like, you just broke up with me on a couch, but smiling. And they're both teary-eyed. I forgot about this scene completely. Tamara in a talking head says, I asked Heather if I could bring Joe, and she said yes, because she realizes she's on the Housewives show. Bring Joe, bring Joe. So if Gretchen is threatened by Joe, Tamra says, that's her problem. So also, I don't buy the initial thought of Tamra of, I'm so nervous to be around Ryan, but I'm also going to try to stir up trouble with Gretchen. I can walk and chew gum at the same time. Joe says, I feel like we need to pray. Yeah, sure, man. We're going into an old facility of Christian Broadcast Network. Let's pray. Yeah. And so they hold hands. Remember the season where Tamara got baptized? What happened to that? How much does... I know God doesn't want to touch the housewives with a 10-inch pole, but I always find that funny, all of the different iterations and storylines these ladies have gone through we forget about. But yeah, there's a whole season where Tamara got baptized. So they're holding hands, and Joe's like, dear God, thank you for letting me back on TV and for bringing Tamara and I together. I just pray for peace. I pray for healing. And I pray that relationships can be mended and I can pop on this show at least 10 more times this season and potentially for the 20th season as well. Amen. And guys, just so you know, if you don't watch these shows, some of these lines I obviously make up. I know you probably know that, but sometimes somebody will message me, like on Monday when I joked to Sophie that me and Rebecca were going to join season 3 of The Valley. And then somebody messaged me and said, hey, I think I was listening a little sleepy. Did you really decide to go on The Valley? No, yeah, that's a never in a million, nor would I be offered, but never in a million years. Okay. So we see Gretchen talking to Jenn, Ryan, and Slade, and Gretchen's like, Tamra's very fashionably late. And Jenn says, you have not been around her at all, Slade, have you? Slade's kind of dressed like a more macho Liberace, but Gretchen says, have you met Slade? I have to keep him away from her or he will eat her alive, which is never good when a man on one of these shows, like you even threaten any sort of like, he will kill her. Not good. We do the normal slow-mo walk of Tamra walking into the venue and then grabbing hands with a slow-mo walking Joe De La Rosa, and they're smiling. I'm like, and then we see Matt and Katie on the way out, and Matt's like, there's Tamra. And Tamra goes, Katie, Matt, are you guys leaving, girl? What's wrong? And Katie goes, it was not a good night. And Matt goes, don't talk to her, Katie. Don't talk to her. Don't talk to her. And Tamra starts like speed walking over. And Katie goes, Tamra, I don't want to talk about it. I just want to go. And Tamra goes, I just want to make sure you're okay. Now you want to make sure what about when you brought the fucking rumor in? Or not the rumor, the thing that Katie did. Now you want to make sure she's okay? And then Matt goes, come on, Tamra, please. And Tamra goes, I don't want to see you cry, Katie. I don't. And Matt goes, you started it. He's trying not to be involved, but he's like looking off to the side, but he's like, you started it, Tamra. And Tamra goes, I started it? And Matt goes, you're going to come over here and pretend like you care right now? And Tamra goes, so it's my fault you recorded Shannon? And Katie goes, you brought it out at lunch, my lunch, where I was trying to move forward with these ladies at the hot pot lunch. Why did you do that? You are at the root of this. This is blood on your hands, she says in a talking head. Tamara in a talking head says, I honestly thought Gina knew. I thought it was a conversation that we had, but I guess it wasn't. Oh, I guess I misremembered. Katie in a talking head says, this is bullshit. If Tamara was so concerned that I recorded Shannon a year ago, why hold on to this information and then tell people now? Exactly. Tamara says, Katie, you get caught in something and it's my fault. And Katie goes, I owned it. I owned it that I got caught in it. I'm not denying any of it. I would never. And Tamara goes, I've never been anything but nice to you. I've been nice to you. And Katie goes, you called me a see you next Tuesday. We flash back to 2024 when Tamara does say CUNT in regards to Katie. And Tamara goes, sorry, can't eat caviar and say CUNT at the same time. Katie goes, I never called you a bitch, a bleep, a bleep, a bleep. And Tamara goes, no, you just call bloggers and try to get stories out there. Tamara warming up for her confrontation with Gretchen and Ryan later. And Matt like pushes up his glasses and goes, oh God, oh God. And Joe goes, hey, do you want to get in? And Joe's like, what happened to that prayer? Do you want to get in there? And so Katie and Matt walk off. Katie says, that was unbelievable, Matt. We cut back inside and Shannon is going for round 2 at the buffet. She's like, these are all the things I had on my plate, but now I'm going to eat them. So Tamra and Joe De La Rosa walks in and Ryan goes, oh, there's Tamra and Joe. And Gretchen, I think it's supposed to be a look of shock, but even though she's never done any work on her face is just so naturally tight that I can't tell if this is a shocked look or not. But the music is like dun 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 dun, so it's supposed to be shocked. So I think it's a shocked face. Now Slade doesn't seem like he's had any work on his face, so you can tell he is uncomfortable and potentially perturbed. And all the other girls go, oh, there's Tamra Judge. She's with Joe. And Heather walks up to them and Tamara's like, I made it. Emily gets her popcorn and goes, let's go, baby. Gretchen says, Tamra showing up with Slade's ex really doesn't show that she's trying to move forward with me. Gretchen in the scene goes, that's so her bringing Joe. Next episode, Gretchen's going to bring Tamra's daughter that doesn't talk to her. Jenn says, how do you just not know? Of all the people that Tamra could have brought, Gretchen says, it's Tamra clearly trying to get at me. And then they all say thirsty. Oh, she's thirsty, thirsty. Gretchen says, thirsty is right. And then Jeana, eating popcorn, goes, why can't everybody just get along? Jeana, come on, man. Don't play dumb. You know exactly why. So they're in there. They have a little shot already. And Jeana tells Emily, I don't care about any of this bullshit. You better care. It's your job. So we're obviously waiting for this showdown. Then Heather and Emily start making fun of Gretchen's looks of like, she's dipped in formaldehyde every night. She looks like she's wearing a filter from 2003. Once again, that's very cruel. Also, it's something that we all say on the outside, but they're saying it. And it's never great when the housewives are saying this not in front of their faces, right? But Jeana says she looks like that Barbie filter, and they show one of Gretchen's Instagram posts where she's posing in a Barbie box. So they're making fun of Gretchen's looks. And then Terry and Heather walk up. Terry's kind of manhandling Heather, just like arms everywhere. And you can tell that Terry smoked a little wacky tobacco. Smoke weed every day. It's me, Terry Dubrow. I'm going to operate on you on botched, stoned for a discount. But then Terry is not making sense. He's like, Heather, I was going to say his last name was Italia. Genitalia. And Heather goes, did you get stoned, Terry? And Terry goes, there's a weed bar. What do you think? Smoke weed every day. We should cut to 1 hour earlier where Terry is obviously feeling it, where he's like, what's up? What's up? All right. What's up? What's up, homie? So we have a little montage of Terry being like super stoned. It would just be great if we just saw him with the munchies, just like chowing down. But then there's a shot of him with Slade of like, is it me or is Slade put on a little weight? I'm hoping he's chubby, you know? Anyways, Tamra walks up to Emily and goes, I just got fucking attacked by Katie. And she's smiling. Shannon looks uncomfortable. And Emily says, yeah, Shannon and Katie went after it. And Terry's talking to Gretchen and Slade going, can't everything be fixed with an apology, man? That's a very stone thought too. Can't we all just get along, man? And Gretchen's like, no, Terry, absolutely not. And Slade's like, no. After Tamara's behavior, Tamara for the last 15 years, not abso-fucking-lutely not. And Terry goes, maybe she's changed now. And then Gretchen says, oh, she's going to walk in with my husband's ex. That's really good change behavior. Terry goes, let me tell you something. When major milestone events happen in your life to you, good or bad, that changes you. Jen says they went through something horribly that changed them. And instead of Tamra saying, I'm going to be kind and give them a little bit of a break, that's when she goes hard. Talking about Slade's loss of his son, right? But also when something goes bad in our life, that's when Tamra shows up in an FBI hat, obviously talking about the Shohei Ohtani Ryan debacle. So Jen says she's going through it now and we all have to be sensitive, and we will because we're human. But this doesn't feel fair, Terry. Terry's like, I'm just trying to get stoned. Heather says, you can't push people away because they're damaged. Jen goes, why do we keep making allowances? When do we say we love you, look in the mirror, and now go fix it or go work on it? And Heather goes, you're not allowing for it. She is. You're so angry, Jen, that you can't see it. And I'm not faulting you for that. I'm telling you, you're not seeing it. Jen in the Talking Dead says, Tamara and I used to be friends. At least I felt like we were friends. So do I want to believe the change? Yeah, I do. Heather goes, I also believe in my heart. There is room for Shannon and Tamara to come back together. You know, she had a life event as well in regards to Teddy. Because Teddy has 8 brain tumors, right? And we flash back to the first episode of the season at the Golden Door. And Heather's like, give Tamara a hot second. And Jen goes, I hope you're right. Heather's like, me too. We cut to Emily, who has her popcorn bucket in one hand and a Twizzler she's like waving in another. And she's like, I need a Diet Coke. Woman of the people, Emily Simpson, woman of the people. So Gretchen and Slade walk right up to Joe and like, hey, how are you? How are you? And Gretchen hugs Joe. I thought they were about to do another group prayer. And Gretchen goes, it doesn't matter if Joe and I are good. It has to do with Tamra. So Gretchen really seen Tamra as like modus operandi and say, do not pay attention. Do not pay attention to this distraction. This has to do with me and Tamra. So do not do this. So she's diffusing the situation, which is a very smart housewife move. Gretchen says, Tamra, you're getting rusty, girl. And man, I gotta love, she nails it. Okay, so now Jenn walks up to Tamra, and Jen Pedranti says, Tamra, I had no intention of saying anything. I don't want to have any discussions at Heather's party, but maybe you and I could get together and talk later. And Tamra's like, yeah, okay, yeah. And then she goes, Tamra goes, you look beautiful. You look, and Jen is like, you do too. I love because usually the scenes are like happy and they start with, you look beautiful. And then this is a reluctant, you look beautiful. Good game. Go get a can of soda and an orange slice. Good game. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, let's have this discussion at a later time. Well, we should have it right now when you're not prepared, but whatever. Tamara in a talking head says, I feel like we talked about everything, but she's welcome to say anything she wants. And I'm sure I have some things to say to her as well. Like, why does your boyfriend keep going after me in social media? You would think just somebody would stay off social media at that point or just ignore it, block it, whatever. Tamara says, fuck my life. We see the drink, I don't know, the mixologist is doing fancy things with the drink cup. I don't know, you guys. Who cares? Anyways, we celebrate the beloved queen tonight, Heather Dubrow, 3 months after her actual birthday. Everybody's applauding. They're lighting candles. Heather's like, thank you all so much for coming. I so appreciate you. This whole night was about my favorite things. And that's why there are fights happening right and left. And there seems to be a big bonfire behind Heather. It's just the lighted candles. And Heather goes, premature ejaculation. Ha 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 ha. Anyways, tonight is all about my favorite things, which is most importantly all of you. There only seems to be about 30 people here. Yes, I can celebrate my birthday way too long. It's been 53 days since my birthday. Thank you for allowing me to be so ridiculous. And the 30 people there clapping. Also, you saw Tarek. Tarek, the HGTV guy that used to be married to Christina and the Coast, is now married to that Selling Sunset girl. He was in the background of one of these scenes. I don't know if you guys noticed that. And then we see all the housewives dancing, slow-mo dancing. Everybody's cutting a rug. Heather's drinking straight out of a bottle. Terry's trying to get a groove, being stoned off his gourd. He's like, I'm on the moon. I'm on the moon. Shannon's doing some weird kind of break dancing, Egyptian dancing. And she's like, I'm dropping like it's hot. When you're 60, there's always trying. And then people are taking big spoons and just spooning up caviar. People are just chugging caviar. And cake. I don't know. It's wild. They're showing that these housewives can still have a good time, you guys. Woo! So we come back from break and we have a split scene, and it starts off with Gina and Travis, who are like, building a real estate empire in the OC. And they're showing off a house. And of course, this is another thing that I kind of dislike is that, listen, I love talking about Travis's big balls, right? But they know we love goofballs like me talking about Travis's big balls. And so now they talk about it every episode about Travis's big balls. He's got big balls because he doesn't release. So Gina does a whole bit that like she has like these big black balls that she puts in the middle of the kitchen island. She's like, always there's balls representing every house I'm in because Travis has large balls. Travis is always in the background going, yeah, okay, cool. So it's a split scene between Gina showing off her a house to a 55 plus audience, and then Jen and Ryan going into their dentist because they loved so much their top set of veneers that they are now interested in a bottom set of veneers for their upcoming nuptials. And Ryan is limping in because remember, he just got knee surgery. And you know what they always say, couples that get bottom veneers together stay together. And also, if there are any dentists listening, I need your help. At this point, I told you guys, I don't know if I told the Patreon, we talked about it last night in the live, but I have like an infection in this tooth over here, and they need to pull it and put a new tooth in, and they wanted to charge me $13,000. Now I go to the same dentist that Sheena Shea goes to, and a lot of housewives go to, and I didn't go there because they went there. I wasn't like, give me the one that made Sheena's dead tooth good again. No, so I'm over there, and they wanted to charge me $13,000, and I couldn't. And maybe that's really what it costs, but I couldn't, like, it's a small car. Like my Toyota doesn't cost much more than that. And I mean, I shouldn't be cheap with my teeth, but basically I just give me turkey teeth. Do I have to go to Turkey to get big, like, Carl Radke teeth? I'm not making fun of Carl. I like Carl very much. Soft Bar, by the way, he announced his opening. They've got a projected date for the end of August. So obviously we're going to see that on Summer House. They're doing a soft launch and then an opening to the public a week later. But Carl, remember, at the Summer House reunion said that he did take a lot of heat for his teeth and it did affect him. So I'm sorry to even use Carl as an example. But I'm willing, any dentists out there that just want to experiment like they did on Frankenstein, please consider my teeth an option. We can record the process for the Patreon. It's great. So those are the two scenes we keep cutting back and forth from in this section. So Jeana is talking in a talking head about her real estate empire, and she's like, I'm still a little shy to talk about it because I still live in a place of the bottom's gonna. I still am that girl that I don't want to get back to the casita, you know? This is the part of it, like, taking away the show. I'm kind of proud of Jeana. Like, I think this is working out for her, and I think that's great to watch somebody come from casita Jeana to slowly working their way up. I really think that's amazing, and also it's great because Housewives does not last forever, and it's one less housewife to worry about for the rest of their lives. Like, have another revenue stream coming in that is not podcasting. You know what I'm saying? And of course, with any scene, even though she's showing off a house to 55 plus and older clients, we have to have Tamra come in for the actual scene where they talk shit about somebody. It's just Housewives 101. And Tamra goes, Jeana, I have to tell you, at the party with Jenn, she asked to meet with me. It's really weird. She said, I talked to Heather, and I'm assuming she gave you the same speech she gave me. And I go, no, I don't know what you're talking about. She says, well, I think we should meet. I go, okay. And Gina's like, I don't even understand why you guys, how did you even get to this place? We cut to the teeth, and in between getting veneers, Jenn asked Ryan, what did you think at the party? And she goes, Heather always throws a great party. I mean, a lot of the dust up was Katie Janela. You know, I was sitting with Matt, and he was like, we're leaving. And that's when Tamra made her first entrance. And Jenn goes, you know, I'm seeing her, Ryan. And Ryan goes, well, what is the intent? And Jenn goes, it's just weird. Everybody in the friend group, you know, are saying, oh, she's going through something so hard in regards to Tamra. She's in therapy. But part of me's like, well, let me see for myself. And Ryan says, well, I hope for your sake, I would love to see you come home pleasantly surprised because there's some change in her therapy. But I think you're going to be a bit disappointed. We cut to Jeana, and Gina's like, I think that you are trying to change Tamra. And the times I have talked to Jenn, I have tried to communicate that with her because she has so much anger from last year. Yes, because you fucking rubbed it in their face about the FBI. And Tamra's like, I'm sorry, it's stupid. My reaction at Katie's party was to Ryan. And this is 2024 when Tamra was yelling at Ryan and going, he went on a podcast with my husband and came after me as a mom. Tamra goes, after we had made up, after Eddie, he went after Eddie, let's move on. Ryan still went on social media and blasted us. Tamara and I talking to her goes, oh, that girl really sweet and nice. And then she talks shit on social media. When people are telling you they're kind all the time, they're not kind. They're trying to convince you they're kind. Okay, but a counter argument to then that is they're not going to roll over when you fucking bully them. That's the counter argument. Tamara goes, you guys can do this, but because I said that last year to Ryan, I am the devil. Well, Tamara, it's because, as always, you take a sense of glee in your prop comedy with the FBI hat. It's not that you just brought it up. You were so fucking excited about it. Cut back to Ryan. Ryan says, Jenn, have you done anything personally to Tamra? And Jen's like, no. Yet I'm hearing she's going around saying I'm obsessed with her. We cut to 3 days earlier when Jeana is talking to Jenn, and Gina's like, Tamra said you're wanting to be her. She said that you put in her actual old hair extensions. You know, we all look the same. Jenn tells Ryan, why in the fuck would I want to be a woman like Tamra? Ryan, you have always said there's some smidge of jealousy, and I don't buy into that jealousy thing. And Ryan goes, she's jealous of you. Jen in the talking head says, who called who asking for a picture when you were having your tummy tuck? And we see a DM from Tamra where Tamra is asking how and why Jen got her tummy tuck. But maybe Tamra was just collecting information to use against Jen in regards to her tummy tuck. We're fighting over tummy tucks, people. Jen says, I do think people can change. And if I am going to move forward, really, we have to get down to what happened. And she's got to take a lot of ownership. The lies just escalate. I'm a stalker. I'm obsessed. She loved Ryan. Now he's a cheater. The FBI. He steals money. It pisses me off. I'm going to give her an opportunity to own up to her bullshit. Even if her answers hurt me, if she's truthful in them, I will take all the steps forward with this woman. But if not, goodbye until the next episode. And then we cut to our second break. Okay, so we come back from our break. And we are at Heather's Beverly Hills mansion that she bought. And two big fancy cars pull up. And Heather walks out of the door smiling with a knowing smile. Like, you $1 million listing real estate agents are crazy. You are so happy you're going to make so much money off of our real. Can I tell you something? So we have Josh Altman and Josh Flagg there, and they're going to co-list Heather and Terry's, $1 billion mansion. But $1 million listing is currently on pause. So I thought maybe this was like meant to launch into a new season, but it's not. And so the bit is Heather's the two best real estate agents co-listing Heather's place. There are no bigger real estate agents than Josh Altman and Josh Flagg. And they had a bit of a falling out. And we flash back to a $1 million listing where Flagg and Altman, kind of had a little bit of a fight and aren't really working with each other anymore. And Heather's like, isn't this nice, everybody working together? I would like to think it's a testament to how much they both love me. It's like Heather has brought together the Beatles again. Obviously, she says it's a commission check as well. So now we see that the house is somewhat staged. She did put the floors in she was talking about in the first episode. But Heather says it is hard walking away from a project to put one more dime into it. But Terry and I sat down and I explained to him Marketing 101. And we flash back to Heather saying, Terry, we have to figure out how to market this place. And I think they're in for like $45 million or something insane. So Heather is explaining to them they got hosed by the budget. By the time this gets done, our youngest is going to be a senior in high school, so we've got to walk away. And Josh is saying, when we sold you this house, you were going to do a major overhaul. This was going to be an $85 million house. We didn't do that now, so we have to understand you're not going to make some crazy amount of money. And Heather's like, I just want to break even, And so they're talking about 16.1 million. They put in a couple million already. Then mansion tax is 5% of the gross. And then I have to pay for your cars, Heather says. And they laugh. Oh, it's real estate stuff. So they're saying that's 20. So she wants to sell it for 20 million to make it worth her while, to be able to earn her caviar haiku budget for the next birthday party that's 2 months late. So she actually then says, hey, I'm glad we listed it for 25. So not 20. She listed for 25. And then she's like, can we list it for 30? So now we're going up. We're going up, 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 up. But she's also talking about all her kids on the East Coast. I don't know where Ace is going to wind up. And the universe is telling us to go elsewhere. Where is the universe telling the Dubrows to go to? Dubai? Anyways, we go outside and, Flagg's like, this is what we call the billionaire's horseshoe right here. She's sandwiched in between LeBron James and Drake. And then they joke about Heather's property line, which is down the hill. And they're like, I'll give you a higher commission if you go down the hill. Oh, let them eat cake, folks. Let them eat cake. I don't know. It's a bit I don't care about. And it's such a staged bit with these guys that are Bravo celebrities themselves. But maybe you guys enjoyed it. I don't know. So then we cut over to Tamra's place. And Tamra is talking with her daughter, Sophia, who's 19 years old. She has dyed her hair color to a Tamra's hair color now. Remember, she had a Lydia Dietz black look last year. But she also is into music. We heard one of her songs last season. But she's also has a side business, her daughter, selling clothes. And Tamra says that she's going to community college. And then from there, she wants to transfer over to the Music Institute in LA. And she's an entrepreneur. She buys and sells clothes online. And she's actually selling my clothes as well. Demon clothes, demon clout clothes. So we're going through Tamra's clothing. And I do love Sophia's sense of humor. There's like a red outfit. And she's like, I think Elmo needs his clothes back. And so we're going through Tamra's clothes. Sophia's throwing them all on the floor. Not this, not this, not this. But Tamra's saying she's very proud of her daughter. She has a great sense of style. She's really good at thrifting even. She buys her clothes at Goodwill. But Tamra says, I will never buy my clothes at Goodwill. But Tamra says she's helping me for my age. But yeah, not happening with the Goodwill. So we have like, I don't know, Tamra has like a home ear piercing kit that comes in, and her daughter pierces Tamra's ear. What? Like we have an ear piercing in this episode? Is that healthy? Are we going to get like thrush from this or something? So Sophia, this feels like Jackass all of a sudden. But Sophia says the price of living is going up and up, so I think I should stay here because she doesn't want to have, anyway, she's basically just saying she wants to still stay here with her mom and Eddie while she's at school. And I think Tamra's cool with that. But Tamra says, you're 19 years old. I know you have anxiety, but I think you're going to like it. I am dying to think that you're not going to be here every single day. In a talking head, Tamra says, we are so connected. There's a little bit of a codependency there. And I think that is stopping her from life. We go to 2 weeks earlier of Tamra in therapy. And I will notice it's the same outfit that Tamra wore in the first episode going to therapy. And I was like, are we just going to keep cutting back to one therapy session? Is Tamra going to therapy every week? It's like Jax Taylor. Is he actually going to therapy? But in this 2 weeks earlier scene, she's talking about her daughter. Of like, oh my God, my daughter going to LA. I can't even think about it. I was in tears. I can't think about it every single day. And the therapist is like, well, this is why you're doing this work. Tamra says, but therapy gives me tools. I'm able to cope with things, but I'm able to cope with the mess that I've created better. She asks her daughter, have you seen a difference in my attitude since therapy? And Sophia's like, maybe, yeah. And Tamra goes, I've never gone to therapy this long. I've never gone to therapy this long. I started going when my, parents' divorce, Sydney leaving. And then we cut back to the therapy talking about Sydney, and Tamra's crying. It's just so painful to not have your child around you. And the therapist just giving the therapist nod. I just can't wrap my brain around it. Tamra tells her daughter, I keep all of that in. And then when things trigger me, I lose my shit. In a talking head, she says, Sydney moved out when she was 14 and she never came back. I know that Sophia is moving out is not forever, but what I went through with Sydney, I worry that Sophia is going to leave me. I worry that she will never talk to me again. Sophia says, I will say, Mom, you have to give yourself some compassion. I'm just so thankful Sophia didn't say grace, but it is always interesting when a kid parents a parent. But Tamra goes, thank you. And a talking head, Tamra says, the therapist told me you can't keep constantly worrying about that, but it's hard. So then they start like listing her clothes on eBay. And I feel like, that's great. Jax has an eBay page. Tamra has an eBay page. It's perfect. Love it. Like Tamra's demon closet. Okay. And then we take our third break of the episode. So now we have two intercut scenes, and the first one is with Emily, Gretchen, and Shannon Beador, and that they're at aerial yoga. And this is what I'm talking about. Do we need an activity for every fucking scene? Like, I've seen aerial yoga. Like, why don't we just do another murder mystery party or a rage room? That's probably coming this season. And we're even reminded that they've done aerial yoga before with Shannon and Emily in 2020. Like, are you running out of activities to do? Part of me was like, I hope Emily just keeps going back to the place from the first episode, or like first or second episode, with that thing, like the machine that they went sexualized about, of like, just rub your privates up against this thing. It would be great if every one of Emily's scenes is back there with her just rubbing against this machine. But they're at aerial yoga, which is also another place that Shannon can do physical comedy. She's the Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin of reality TV. She just is. But Gretchen's there, and they're doing all these aerial yoga positions. We have that scene, and then we intercut it with a coffee date scene with Katie, Janella, Gina, and Heather Dubrow. Also, you know it's a little weird when you see a full order at a coffee place where we see a full order. Katie's like, what kind of tea do you have? And I'm like, should we get to the point where she's paying and getting change back? I feel like we can cut this. Let's make this tight, you guys. This is not a Ryan Bailey podcast. We can make this tight. Anyways, Katie gets there. Heather and Gina are already there. They hug each other and... You know, we do the pleasantries as always, and little pleasantries before we get into the meat of the scene. And Katie goes, how was the rest of your party, Heather? And Heather's like, it was really fun. I'm sorry you had to go. Can I ask what happened when you guys left? And Gina's like, yeah, Tamra says she saw you guys outside. And Katie goes, Matt yelled at her? He didn't yell at her. In a talking, oh no, Tamra said that Gina said that Tamra said that Matt yelled at her, and Katie goes, Matt yelled at her? Matt didn't yell at her. I mean, it's never great when men get involved in the women's housewives scenes, but he didn't yell at her. Like, he really was painfully trying not to yell at her. I think he wanted to. Katie says, it's so funny that Tamra thinks Matt screamed at her. And we flash to Matt saying, you're going to pretend that you're going to come over here and act like you care? But in a very, very calm voice. Katie says, Matt did not yell. Tamra, come on. Tamra will sometimes put it out there and it's a half truth. So when you come back with your truth, they doubt you. I mean, Katie's right. Katie's right. So Heather says, you should tell Matt to not get involved. You should tell Matt to abuse marijuana like Terry does at these things. Then we go to the aerial yoga place, and Shannon's like, and she's like, the teacher's like, there is a gratuity card put at the front of your mat. I hope. Oh no, it's like not a gratuity card. It's like a little nice saying, and it says, I forgive myself for past mistakes and failures. And Emily says, Gretchen, I believe my card is for you. I forgive people in the past who have harmed me and peacefully detach from them. And Gretchen's like, I need that one. And Shannon's like, have you had a conversation with Tamra? And Gretchen's like, I don't have this desire to be friends with Tamra Judge. And Emily says, if you can have some sort of resolution, wouldn't you do that? Wouldn't you want to do that? Maybe there's a chance that she would surprise you, Gretchen. Shannon in a talking head goes, I don't know if Tamra's, it's possible substantial change with Tamra. Shannon's got Tamra's number as well. Gretchen says, even if she said, I'm sorry, I still wouldn't believe her because it's been 15 years. Shannon in a talking head says, there has been a history of repeated patterns of behavior. How many times do you have to put yourself in a position to get hurt? I mean, Katie and Shannon, dead on right. You know, Tamra is an icon of the Housewives, but she does the same pattern of behavior. But Gretchen says, I'm pretty upset. And Shannon goes, I said what I needed to say to Katie, and I'm not going to talk to her anymore. I'm not going to open it up again and be stupid. But I would love it if this scene we see that Emily and Gretchen are privately recording Shannon. But Gretchen says, talking about feeling stupid, I'm trying to defend Katie, and I went to bed and I was struggling with that, Gretchen says, because I really like her a lot. And Shannon goes, if she videoed me, I guarantee you she has recorded all of you. And Emily goes, I'm sure there's probably a lot more things that I don't know. And then we cut to Heather, and Heather goes, Katie, I have to ask you a question. Did you meet up with Kiki Monique? And they showed this in the trailer last week, and I have to tell you, my asshole dropped out of my ass. And we see a picture of Katie and Kiki at a restaurant. And I'm like, oh, we're getting too close to the fire. And Katie goes, yes, I met her when we went to that event in LA. I'm like, what event in LA? And Heather goes, I heard you were asking Kiki to put out stories. And Katie's face is, zoinks, what? I heard you were asking Katie to put out stories to hurt us. And Katie goes, I did not, she says emphatically. Who did you hear this from? And Heather goes, Tamra. Of course it's Tamra. We cut to 2 days earlier at Heather's party, a scene that we didn't see in the moment, and Tamra has the group of ladies around going, she contacted somebody that has a radio show and a podcast, and she asked this girl to repeat something, and it's so bad, because I'm not going to even repeat it right now, because it's so bad. So obviously, I don't know how the information got from Kiki to Tamra. I don't know if Kiki volunteered this to Tamra directly or if this was heard through the grapevine. We don't find out in this episode, but this is wild. This is another thing that I'm talking about. Unless you are going to add Kiki as a housewife on Real Housewives of Orange County, it's weird. And by the way, that's not a bad idea now that I'm thinking about it. Add Kiki to the Real Housewives of Orange County as Katie's friend. But Katie says emphatically, never did I do that ever. In a talking head, she says, I have listened to Kiki Monique for years. I thought she was a cool journalist. Gina goes, you shouldn't even be talking to these people. And the producer in a talking head asks Katie, did anything about the other ladies come up in your meeting with Kiki? And Katie goes, no. Heather goes, nobody knows what to believe anymore, Katie. Some of us, including myself, have been asking ourselves, what's next? Katie says, I did do these things that I'm owning up to. I'm not denying anything except this Kiki thing. That absolutely did not happen. She says in a talking head, all of these allegations are like a game of telephone and it's being twisted and it's not what happened. But also, you also have to think about the source. And the source not being Kiki, but the source being Tamra. Do think about who. I'm really curious. I don't know the answer to this, folks. And I'm really curious to find out what it is. Gina in a talking head's like, I really wanted to have a triumphant moment, but Katie's only told consistent lies. It's so bad. It's so bad. Heather goes, I'm trying to be in your corner. And Katie's like, I appreciate that. I would love for you to score, Heather says. Thanks, Heather. And Katie looks up at the sky and goes, this is unbelievable. So it seems they have a common enemy, or the thing that's going to bond most of these housewives together is that their distrust or mistrust of Katie Janela. And it's really up to the show to prove otherwise, or Katie to prove otherwise. But it really does seem like the spotlight should be on Tamra. And you also have to factor in at some point, Tamra does leave the show for a week. And obviously she's dealing with a lot and that could be Teddy related, but also it could be maybe the spotlight does get put on Tamra and she does not like the spotlight there because it calls her out for misdeeds and misdoings and potentially spreading false rumors. I don't know. Anyways, we cut to Shannon and Shannon's like, let's go to the beach. And it's not, she's not in a scene with the Love Hotel man. She's in a scene with my favorite dude on Housewives, Archie Beador. Archie's like, I reluctantly am agreeing to be in this scene. And we just have a straight up shot of Archie just panting. Can't believe I'm in the show so long. I love Archie Beador. I want to meet, listen, I don't want to interact too much with Housewives, but I would love to meet Archie Beador. If I could meet Archie Beador, that's like a make-a-wish for me. Like, I don't even need Shannon there. I just want to take Archie Beador on a walk and say that he's a good boy and thank him for his years of service on this show. We cut to Emily and her son walking their dog, Cindy. And so it's like a dog intercut scene of dogs. So both of Emily's sons are walking Cindy. And I don't know what was the purpose of that scene. And then we cut to Gretchen's house with Slade, and we meet Skylar, her daughter, age 5. And we only usually see Skylar in Gretchen's Instagram post. So it's interesting to see a live action Skylar, like moving around and not face-tuned at all. And she's a very cute little girl. So it's good to see her. I thought she was like one of those like fake babies, you know, like have you ever seen those with the real baby dolls? It's a really weird side of TikTok where it's like adults will buy these like sized, you know, kids, and then they'll take them to places and act like they're real kids. It's very disturbing. Then we're over at Katie's place and Bandon's asking where he can plug in his iPad, and they're getting ready for bed, Matt and Katie. These are always some of the weirdest scenes ever, because if you were truly getting ready for bed, you wouldn't have a camera crew in there with you. But Matt asked Katie, how's it going? And Katie goes, well, I met with Gina and Heather. Gina's actually great. She's like, I can see from both sides how you feel. We cut to that coffee date, you know, yesterday. And Gina's like, I can see where it's very hard for you, you know, what happened between the two of us last year and what happened with everybody else. So Katie's relaying to Matt saying, Gina said she's kind of in this middle spot. And I said, I get that. Also, they dropped this bomb on me. Tamara apparently told Heather that I am using this girl, Kiki, to plant stories about her. And Matt kind of yawns. Matt's like, I'm trying to wind down here. And Katie is like, I said, prove it. Prove it that I'm doing that. And Matt says, Tamra Judge is in this friend group, and you're the one that's untrustworthy. I mean, Matt makes a point. Katie says, I'm trying to figure out why she single-handedly wants to try to annihilate me. Matt tells Katie, in this house, you're perfect, especially in this bed that we're laying on right now. And Katie says, I'm held accountable like I killed somebody. I literally can't win, Katie says. And then she relates to Matt that Kylie has her daughter, age 20, that went on that podcast talking about she's trying to find a place. And Matt says, the sands of her hourglass come to an end. And Katie's like, I will finally have all my kids under one roof. And now Kylie's leaving. In a talking head, she says, when Max moves here, it'll be the very first time that I've had all 4 kids living under one roof. The first time. We cut to 2 weeks earlier when she asked her 7-year-old son, Bandon, what do you think of all of us living in the same house now? And Bandon said, I would really love it. I just always miss him. Matt says, but Kylie will be over a lot. And we find out that she applied to Cal State Fullerton. I think she can get into UCLA, but she really wants UC Irvine. And Matt says that's close to home. And Katie goes, I want them to live at home forever. And Matt says, your biggest role as a mom is to raise kids that are capable of going out on their own. And Katie goes, yeah, but what if I want them to be like my parents and have them depend on me their whole life? She says, at Kylie's age, I had a 1-year-old. I was getting married. And maybe that's why I'm so scared for her to leave, because I'm afraid that somebody will hurt her. She's like, perfect. And, it's time, Matt's like, it's time for her to go. And I'm like, oh, shit, I guess it is. Yeah, I mean, like, I can see both of their points. But yeah, that is, I would imagine, I'm not a parent, but I would imagine that's the thing that is heartbreaking, is that you're trying to raise strong, independent kids, but at the same time, you want them in your life forever. And those are always the moments as I get older and losing my mom that means I know it sounds so pussy, but it means so much to me because, you just realize you wish you could relive those 18 years that you lived under your parents' house, roof. I'm a dog, roof. But it's those things that remind you of how lucky that I was, and that some of us are, that we're able to have like a really emotionally stable environment, and how hard it must have been for my parents, my mom especially, when we did move out. And they didn't force me to move out. And obviously I mean, there are so many things I hated about the pandemic, but one thing that I loved was that I got to go to Arizona a lot and just spend a lot of time there. And I got to know my parents in a different way through this podcast, right? Like, I mean, if you're an OG listener, they came on like 65 times. And I got to know them in such a different way. And it was so beautiful in retrospect. And I'm so lucky to have the podcast for that, to have these like kind of open conversations that were silly, but also heartwarming. I will always, I mean, it's great. And I just understand that. I would imagine as a parent, you do want them forever. Like, you made them for the love of God. But anyways, they're just talking about kids and talking about having the kids live forever. And Matt kind of chuckles, but it's like a scared chuckle of like, ha, 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 ha. And Bandon jumps on their bed of like, come on in. And Matt's like, well, don't truly come on in. Just get to your own room, kid. So we cut out of that, and we are at our last scene of the episode, and it's Tamra meeting up with Jenn Pedranti at this, I think it's like a Mexican restaurant, not that that matters. She seats them outside, and I feel like for these scenes, anybody else that eats at this restaurant deserves combat pay. But Tamara arrives first, and she says a snarky comment. She goes, there's so many other things that I'd like to be doing right now. In a talking head, Tamara says, I don't know what Jen wants to say to me, but I'm hopeful that we can move forward. Bullshit. You're not hopeful, and you know it. Tamara, you're smart. Tamara orders a soda water with lime, a splash of cranberry. She's not drinking. She wants to keep the head clear. Tamara goes, if I said something I shouldn't have, I apologize. What else do you want from me? So Jen finally gets there, sets her leather jacket down, and Tamara compliments Jen's belt and says she's obsessed. Tamara just picturing strangling Jen with that belt. But Jen says, thank you for meeting with me. I feel like we need to do this. And Tamara goes, what do you want to talk about? What fucking sports. What do you think? And Jen goes, well, hi, Tamara. Hi. Well, I want to talk about a lot, actually. I know that you're going through a lot. I know there's a lot going on with Teddy. All the girls are telling me how heavy that is on you. I can only imagine. And Jen then orders a Diet Coke. So this is a sans alcohol event. Jen goes, I want to ask you so many questions, and I want to know that you're going to answer me honestly. And Tamra goes, why wouldn't I? And Jen goes, you just don't sometimes. Yes, I do, Jen. I always do. No, you don't. God, I wish they would like wheel in. You know those old carts, like they bring in the AV cart in like old time schoolies that I went to, the AV cart, and that's when you knew your teacher was hungover and you're gonna see like some sort of video instead of a lesson. And like I feel like a producer needs to wheel in a squeaky AV cart and show Tamra all the time she's lied to these people's faces. But Jen says, where did it all go wrong for you? Well, when did our friendship fall apart? And Tamra's like, well, when we went to dinner at Katie's house, I admit it, I was an asshole. And I went off on Ryan last season. Ryan called Eddie a little bitch, a baby bitch, whatever it was. So he's not that innocent. And I want to say kudos to production for not doing a flashback of that, which I'm like, are you guys slipping? You usually do fast flashbacks for one line referred to from a different episode. Jen goes, then you go and run around about the FBI, Tamra. And then you go around with allegations that my house was raided with my children. And Tamra goes, you can say whatever you want. Therapy, Tamra, therapy. Your therapist says do not clap this early into an argument. But if anybody says anything bad, they're the bad one. That's not okay, Jen. That's not okay. And Jen says, you say it over and over and over. And Tamra goes, oh, my husband doesn't have a job. My husband doesn't make any money. I have built up anger about that. And Jen goes, okay, Tamra, let's go this way because this works better for you. And then Tamra goes, don't fucking be condescending to me. So the therapy is not working amazingly in this moment. We go to our last commercial break at the height of this argument. We come back from the break. So don't fucking be condescending to me. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but you're not. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but you're not. And Jen goes, I'm Batman. No, Jen says, I'm what? And Tamra goes, oh, that I'm somebody that's so above, like Heather Dubrow. And then we cut to 1 week earlier when Jen is like, why are you inviting Tamra to this party? And Heather's like, no. Can I tell you this? What, are you not lowering yourself, Jen, to be with someone who will videotape one of your friends? In regards to Katie Janela, we come back to the restaurant and Tamra says, I'm not the one getting evicted. I'm not the one that got caught in regards to Katie Janela. And Jen's like, does that make you feel better? Does that make you feel better? Does that make you feel better about bringing up cheating, my cheating? Does that make you feel better, Tamra? And Tamra says, yeah, maybe. And Jen says, did you or did you not cheat? And now it's Tamra cheating. Did you or did you not cheat? And Tamra goes, no, I left Simon for Eddie. And then Jen goes, I never said I didn't cheat on Will. And Tamra goes, you mean the first time or the second time? And Jen goes, what are you talking about? And Tamra goes, you probably don't want me to bring it up. Okay, so more information Tamra is collected in her devil bag. Jen goes, I don't know what you're talking about, Tamra. And Tamra goes, come on, Jen. And then we go to a talking head with Tamra, and the producer goes, so what do you know? Even the producer sounds exhausted. Okay, Tamra, what do you know? And Tamra goes, and she has that little wry smile. We cut back to the scene and Jen goes, I don't have a fucking clue what you're talking about. And Tamra goes, okay, deny. In a talking head, Jen goes, what is this allegation that you are pulling out of your rabbit hat? We cut to the talking head with Tamra. Tamra goes, there are some rumors that there was another guy at the studio that she got involved with. So now there is a second shooter. There is a second shooter, you guys. Tamra has saved the second shooter for another season. There was this fucking Cut Fitness. My God, it was a den of iniquity. It's like a bathhouse in there. Jen goes, I don't even know who you are, Tamra. Tamra goes, I don't care if you know who I am. I don't care. If you're going to keep poking at me and pushing at me, yeah, I'll tell you. Jen goes, there's just so much, Tamra. You think I'm obsessed with you? I'm a single white female. We have a shot of like other patrons at the restaurant. Some lady's trying to hide behind her margarita glass and like peeking over a margarita glass. Tamra goes, there was some weird shit that went on way back in the day in regards to you single white femaling. I mean, you have my old fucking hair extensions in your head? And Jen goes, you know about that. And Tamra goes, because you told me. It's weird. And Jen goes, what's weird is how you twist shit. You want to make people look so beneath you, and it's mind-boggling. And then we cut to a talking head with Jenn, and Jenn says, yes, I clipped Tamra's old hair in my head. We were playing. I didn't leave with Tamra's hair in my head. Like, so they went to the same place. And anyways, we cut to Tamra's talking head, and Tamra's like, am I going to die in the middle of the night of stab wounds? It's her. She's going to stand over my bed and go, eek, 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 eek. We cut to this scene, and Jen's explaining to Tamra, going, they said, the hairdresser said, Tamra was in this chair next to you. She just came from an event. These are brand new clip-ins she put in. I laughed, and I came to you when we got to know each other, and I said, oh my God, I have a story, but you want to twist it like I did this. So basically, they just like clipped in as a joke, and she told Tamra, like, LOL. And Tamra goes, you go to my fucking gym because you saw I did a fitness competition. And Jenn goes, your place, Cut Fitness, was 1 mile from my yoga studio. How dare you put yourself on that much of a pedestal and say I came looking for you? And Tamra goes, you did. Jenn goes, you are so special. You are so sick. Tamra goes, I'm honest. And then Jenn hits her with, how's your therapy? And Tamra shakes her head like, oh shit, I am in therapy. Fuck, that's not good. Jenn goes, I didn't know shit about you. And Tamra's like, oh, what? That's offensive. And now Jenn grabs her leather jacket like about to leave, puts it on. And she goes, Tamra, you are fucking sick, and I'll say it again. And Tamra goes, don't call me fucking sick. You are sick. And then Tamra goes, you know what? I'm not putting up with this. And now Tamra gets up to leave, but Jenn had already put on her jacket, so Jenn gets like the prize for trying to leave first. But Tamra says, you're just so unfortunate. I wish you all the luck in the world, but that's not cool. In a talking head, Jenn says, step 1, Tamra, is admitting you have a problem. Step 2 is actually fixing it. Step 3 is finding your belly button. Tamra, walking out, says, the old Tamra would have laid into her. But you know what? What she thinks about me is her problem. It's not mine. And then we have Jenn on the way out petting a therapy dog. And she goes, I need a therapy dog. Hi, sweetheart. Tamra says, she can fuck off. I don't want anything to do with her, as Tamra leaves in a car. I just don't see where Jenn and I can move on. I really don't. How can you not see? It's like really fucking simple. Just admit you have an issue with you know, like just Tamra goes into these situations and she becomes less and less of a real person and more about like somebody making moves in a housewife genre instead of being a real person. And I get that because you're so indoctrinated by Housewives, but we got to break that fucking mold, right? We got to break that mold and be a real person because I think that's where like true entertainment potentially lies. And then when fights break out, they're more natural, right? But this is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But I do love Tamra cursing and then Jenn petting a therapy dog, which is very nice and sweet, right? Just, you know, so next time on Real Housewives of Orange County, and we find out that Gina, I'm inviting you all to Mardi Gras so you can flash your boobies. No, Travis Big Ball won't be there. And then we have a joke about Shannon in a van showing her vajayjay. And then Gina telling Shannon that Travis's son I haven't seen in 3 weeks. When is enough enough? So obviously about Travis's ex. And then Gina telling Jenn that Tamra showed us a former fatty photo of you. And Gretchen going, what? And then Tamra telling Katie, you have repeatedly gone after me for the last couple of years. And Katie in the talking head saying, for the love of God, Tamra, own something. And Gretchen saying, Tamra, own something. And so that's next week's episode. We did it, folks. Wow, this is an all-time record. We got through an episode in less than an hour and a half. Was it too much? Do you like a slower pace? Who knows? But I hope you have the best weekend ever. I'm going to do a Q&A on Patreon on the car ride down to Arizona, but I hope you have the best. As always on Fridays, we say, drink something good, eat something great, dance like no one's watching, or dance like everybody's watching. Hang out with somebody that you love, reach out to people and tell them you love them, or just spend time by yourself and stare at a wall like I do. Try to get some exercise, but if that's too much, watch some television. And it doesn't have to be reality television. There's a lot of good TV on right now. So check it out. We'll be back first thing on Monday with the Pop Culture Roundup with Sophie Ross. And that is it, folks. Bye.